Hi everyone at Osborne Clarke, I hope you're all very well. You will notice that there was a little bit of a gap between our most recent video and this one in terms of uploading. I wanted to let you know that we're now going to be uploading videos on a fortnightly basis. So they'll be slightly less regular, but hopefully you'll still be getting lots of stuff out of it. And if you have any suggestions, any requests, anything at all, as always, please feel free to email me or to contact me in some way, shape or form. Let me know and I can provide for you. So this class today is going to be a yin-yang class. So it's going to start off as it would normally do, a vinyasa or kind of workplace vinyasa style, to be able to get the heart rate up, to be able to get the body a little bit warmer. And then the idea is that we're going to really slow it down at the end and take some postures which we're going to be holding for at least a minute in each side. So we'll really wind things down, and that will mean that this sequence is either good for practicing in the afternoon if you want to do something active and then wind down and have something relaxing at the end. It's obviously perfect to do in the evening as well if that suits you better. Anyway, we'll get started in a comfortable seated position. So whenever you're ready, come into that, if you're not in it already, and take a moment to roll your shoulders just a few times, forward and back. Good. Before taking a final roll of the shoulders all the way down by your ears, and just allow your eyes to close or settle as we focus the attention inward. So we take a moment at the very beginning of our practice to withdraw from everything else that's going on. So whether that be things going on at home, work, anything at all, just start to ease away from it. And as your eyes close, allow yourself to close off from whatever task you were doing just before this. And start to focus your awareness just in on your breath. Breathing at the moment how you would ordinarily breathe. And just checking in with how that breath feels, how you feel today, as you decide to take some time out for yourself, for your practice. Before taking a deep inhale in by nose, I'd then like you to sigh all the way out the mouth and let it go. One more just like that, and a huge intake of breath. Another equally huge sigh. And then start to gently breathe in and out by nose. Making this transition to breathing in this way as seamless as possible. And making sure that this breath is fluid, constant. And it's not forced and you're not pulling the breath in or forcing it out. The breath should just be gliding through your body, in and out. And every time that you breathe in, I want you to actually label your breath. So by that I mean every time that you breathe in, say to yourself in your head, inhale or inhaling. And do the same as you breathe out, exhale or exhaling. And we're not doing this for long, but we are just allowing ourselves to focus so intently in on our breath that those outside distractions become less frequent, other thoughts become less frequent. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Keep on going in your own time. And the next time that I speak, we'll start to bring in movement and match that movement onto our breathing. Take a deep breath in here by nose and let it go all the way out by mouth. Breathing in by nose. Let's let it go out the mouth. And lightly bringing your chin in towards your chest here. Keep on breathing in and out by nose. But just release your chin all the way down towards your chest to a point that is comfortable. You can either rest yourself here, or you can take your hands and lightly interlace them and place them at the back of your head, and just allow your elbows to rest down by your side, so that we get a deep stretch into the fascia of the cervical spine, the fascia that connects into the back of the skull, and connects in all the way down to your trapezius here. Breathing in and out by nose, keep on feeling that back part of your neck lengthen. Make sure that your spine is nice and upright and that you're drawing your shoulders down your back for 2 more breaths. Good. Last one here. Let's then release the hands down to the mat and bring your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Feel that stretching sensation across the left hand side of your neck. Option is to reach that left hand down towards the ground. Option as well to take your right hand and just place it lightly on top of the head here to deepen the stretch. While you're breathing in and out by nose, I want you to play about with the angle of your chin, so maybe lift it up to the ceiling or turn it down towards your collarbone so that you find the point in the stretch that is super juicy for you. Let's hold for 2 more breaths, in and out by nose. And we'll make this next one our last one here, releasing the hands, chin to chest, draw a semicircle with your chin across your collarbone, and let left ear find left shoulder. And feel free to take any of those adjustments. Maybe your right hand reaches to the ground, maybe left hand just comes lightly on top of the head. Not pulling in any way, we're just lightly resting it. Good. Feel the side of the neck open here as you breathe in and out by nose. Maybe changing the tilt of your chin. Good. Last one here. Let's release the hands, bring the head back to center. If you haven't opened the eyes already, open them now and bring yourself all the way forward, looking back into the room. Inhale, send your right hand high towards the ceiling. Lift up and out of your waistline as you reach directly up to the ceiling. Exhale, reach over to your left hand side so that you feel the stretch here all the way on the right hand side of your body. Press through that left hand if it's available to you so that you start to just open out your chest towards the ceiling. And take the stretch a little bit more into the sides of the body, across the armpits. You might even feel it across your abdominals here for 2. Good. Last one here. Exhale, take that right hand down. On your next inhale breath, lift the left hand up to the sky. Vertical like a flagpole to begin before reaching over to the right hand side. Pressing through that right hand and just opening out through the side here. Good. Keep on breathing in and out by nose all the time for 2. Great, last one here. Exhale will come all the way back through center. Take your hands and interlace them in front of you. Turn your palms to face you. Inhale, lift your hands all the way up towards the ceiling. Lengthen and lift up out of your waistline here. Can you then start to take your hands behind your ears and press your chest forward so that you get a tiny little back bend here? Exhale, then round through your spine, tuck your chin all the way in towards your chest, and really allow yourself to curve through the back of the body. Inhale, lift up the head, lift up the chest, take your arms behind the line of your ears if possible. Exhale, round through the spine, really tilt onto the lower back here to accentuate that curve. Inhale, sit up as tall as possible, lift up and out, and we'll make this next one here our last one here. Enjoy that curve of your spine. We're holding it for a couple of breaths here. Take your hands over to the right hand side so that you get a deep stretch across the outside of the left shoulder. Breathing in and out by nose. Exhale, keep the round as you come through centre, and then take the hands over now to your left hand side. Good. Coming back through centre, unfurl yourself, and all the way up to a more upright seated position, and take an inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, we'll take a twist, gazing over our left shoulder to begin. So you can bring right hand onto the left knee to just act as a little bit of leverage here. Every exhale, twisting that a little bit deeper. You're still inhaling by nose, and each time you're inhaling, you're looking to find a little bit of length in your spine, and every exhale, we're looking to twist that a little bit deeper. Perfect. Exhale to come back through centre. Inhale, we'll find some length. Exhale, we'll twist this time, gazing over our right shoulder here. So we're trying to target the upper part of the back, or the mid part of the back upwards, I would say. So really just work on every exhale, twisting that a little bit deeper. Great stuff. Let's come back through centre. Bring hands to the front of the mat and tuck all 10 of your toes under as we come into a toe stretch here, which we've done before in yin. In the yin class that I posted a few weeks ago now. You can be low down in a low kneeling position. This is more intense, there's more weight into your feet, or you can take the weight out of your feet a little bit by coming into high kneeling. And you can always move in between the two postures as well. Just while we're doing that, we'll distract ourselves with a little bit of arm shoulder exercises. Let's sweep our right arm all the way across our body, and just allow the shoulder to drop down the back. Not down the back, allow the shoulder to drop down, nice. And maybe just release the head here from side to side. Perfect. We'll do the same on the other side, so gently release, swing the arms and draw your left arm across. Drop the left shoulder down, so you see how it rises up, it wants to rise, draw it down. And you can release the head side to side. Perfect stuff. Come all the way back through centre, release the arms, come into an all-fours position, your hands now underneath your shoulders, lift the feet off the floor, good, and just gently point the toes, and then flex the feet, point the toes, flex the feet, and you can maybe take some circles of your ankles one way, and then the other. Stay in your all-fours position, and step your left foot back. It's a nice big step, you're on the tiptoes of the left foot. Inhale, send the left hand high towards the ceiling. Open out here to your fallen star pose. Good. Feel that nice stretch across the front of the hips here. Lift and lengthen all the way the left hand up towards the ceiling for 2. Good. Last one here. Gently release that left hand down. We swap over onto the other side, so this time right tiptoes extend super long. Inhale, open out to the right hand side, press your hips forward here. And just start to feel that opening across the whole front of your body. Keep on pressing your hips towards the right hand side of the mat, and maybe look up towards your right fingertips. Lift up and out of your right hand. Great. Exhale, come back through centre. And take your feet a little bit wider than your mat, or at least as wide as your mat. And exhale, send your hips all the way back. We'll find a child's pose from here. So it doesn't matter if your hips do not touch your heels, that's not the aim, but we are looking for a lower back stretch. And that stretch might extend to the outsides of the right legs. And just below our sacrum, or either side of our sacrum. Sacrum's around about here, just above your tailbone. And now I want you to just gently rock your torso from side to side, so that you feel a little bit of teasing of the muscles along the lower back. You might feel it a little bit into your inner thigh as well. And the hips are quite complicated junctions of muscles and fascia, so we like to have a little bit of movement in these postures, just because holding them doesn't necessarily help them to kind of ease open. They need a little bit more assistance. Good. Take your hands, where they are, and then just bend your elbows, place the hands together, bring them behind your head here. So we start to open out into the armpit and into your tricep muscles here. Press down and let your chest come that little bit closer towards the ground. Maybe walk your elbows another inch further away from you. Take a nice big inhale here by nose. And exhale, sigh all the way out by mouth. Feel free to take one more just like that. Before releasing the hands flat down to the mat, let's walk ourselves back up to an all fours position as we prepare here for downward facing dog. Just before we do that though, we'll take some time to warm up the wrists, so just start to circle your body weight in one direction, keeping your fingertips facing forward to begin. Good. And taking focus to draw the body beyond the edge of your fingertips and out to the side. We can then move the positions of the hands, turning them inwards to face one another, outwards away from one another, and maybe even back in towards us. Good. Reverse the circles, just taking them around the other way, and explore. Keep on moving that position of your hands, just to explore the wrists a little bit more. You'll notice how I'm taking the back of one hand onto the mat. It's a bit more comfortable than doing both. It's quite intense if you do both at the same time. Good. Fingertips come back to face forward. We're all facing forward now. Tuck your toes under and exhale, send your hips high up towards the ceiling, finding your downward facing dog from here. So it might be your first downward facing dog of the day, in which case bend your knees a lot so that your stomach comes in close towards your thighs. Then use this opportunity here to push through your hands so that your stomach comes out a little bit closer to your thighs. From here, either stay where you are or maybe bend both your knees and then straighten without locking, so locking into the joint and both of your legs. Inhale, bend your knees. Exhale, straighten the legs without forcing. Inhale, bend your knees. Exhale, we straighten. Two more just like this. Inhale, we bend the knees. Exhale, out by nose, we straighten. Inhale, by nose, bend. And exhale, here, straighten. You can either stay in downward facing dog. You can take some pedals of your feet one by one. That's bending one knee and stretching the other leg. Or you can take your left hand and gently take it to the outside of your right leg. And just allow yourself a bit of a twist. Encouraging yourself to look underneath your right armpit before coming back through centre and taking that right hand and drawing yourself underneath your left armpit here. Good. Right hand comes back down. Let's bend our knees a little bit and walk our feet all the way up towards the hands, separating them a little bit wider and hip width apart here. Take hold of opposite elbows and just gently start to sway from side to side. Check in that you've let go of the back of the head. You can nod it yes, and you can shake it no. Just to make sure it's the crown of the head, that's the top of your head, is pointing down towards the ground. You can see whatever it is behind you between your thighs. Good. And take your fingertips down to the ground now. You can release the head still, it can still be released looking behind you. On your next inhale, I'd like you to bend your knees, take your hips nice and low down towards the ground, and lift your chest up, going to a low squat position. You can always separate your feet out a little bit more if you need to. On your next inhale, send the hips nice and high towards the ceiling. We're in that forward fold. Your legs do not need to be straight. Inhale, bend your knees. Come into your squat position. Exhale, send the hips up towards the ceiling. Two more like this. Inhale to bend. Exhale to lengthen. Good. And inhale to bend. Let's just stay down here for a few moments. Next inhale, send the left hand high towards the ceiling. Lengthen up and out through your left middle finger, all the way to the sky. And then exhale, left hand down. Inhale, send the right hand high towards the sky. Perfect. Sweep that right hand down. Exhale, find your forward fold. Bend your knees and take hold of your elbows. And gently roll yourself up one vertebra at a time up to standing. Taking your arms with you up and over your head as you rise all the way to that upright position. Stay facing where you are. I'm just turning to face you so that you can see what I'm doing. Take an inhale and lengthen your spine with your feet a little bit wider and hip width apart. Exhale, reach over to the right hand side.
Gaze underneath that left armpit. And then exhale, come back through centre. Inhale, find more length. Exhale, this time reach over to the left hand side and gaze underneath that right armpit. Perfect. Come all the way back through centre. Release the hands by your side and just take them and interlace them behind your back for one final stretch before we find our mountain pose. So bend your knees a bit from here. Interlace the hands nice and tight. Inhale, lengthen the hands away from you and send the chest up towards the ceiling. Think about continuously moving your hands away from your lower back, compressing between the shoulder blades so we can open out through the chest for 2. Last breath here. Release your hands down by your side and come to the very front of the mat if you're not there already. We find ourselves standing in our mountain pose. Take this moment now to close your eyes. Just take that moment to bring your awareness back in to your breath. As you breathe in and out by nose, imagine your breath moving around your whole body. It goes all the way down from your belly to the tips of your toes, your fingers, and all the way up to the crown of your head. And this current moves through you. In yoga, we refer to it as prana, which literally translates as your life force, which is a nice way of thinking about it. It's your source of energy, and every time you breathe in that little bit deeper, you start to create more oxygen, and you start to nourish the cells of your muscles that little bit more. So let's keep on breathing here, holding onto your breath in your mind's eye for 4 more breaths. For 3, 2, last one here. Next inhale, open out your eyes and lift your hands all the way up towards the ceiling. Maybe your fingertips touch at the top. Maybe you even interlace your fingers and lift up and out of your waistline another centimetre or 2. Exhale, then you bend your knees, folding forward, hinging from the hips, and eventually releasing hands down to the ground with a heavy head at the end. Inhale, take a halfway lift, placing your hands on the shins. Think about unrounding your spine, so really send your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Good. We're going to hold here for a couple of breaths. Think about continuously elongating your spine and drawing your belly button in towards your spine for 2. Last one here. Exhale, bend your knees. We come into a forward fold. Weight into your hands now. Step your right and left foot into a plank position. Spread your fingertips as wide as possible. Grip them into the mat so that they lighten in colour here. Hold for 3 more breaths. Hold for 2. Last one here. Let's lower the knees to the floor and untuck the toes. On your exhale, start to bend your elbows all the way towards the back of the room. Lower down to the floor in a straight line. Half chaturanga. Inhale, squeeze your shoulders. Peel your chest off the floor to find cobra. Stay here for a couple of extra breaths this time. Inhale, can we lift up even higher? And on your next inhale, even higher still. Exhale, release the head down towards the mat. Press through your hands and exhale, find child's pose. You can always come up onto the tips of your fingers on your mat so that you stretch deeper into your armpits. And maybe you include a sway of your hips, your torso from side to side. Hands connect back down to the mat. Exhale, find your downward facing dog in your own time. So feel free to take a couple of extra breaths at any point in the class. Feel free to move and come into child's pose at any point, and feel free to skip the vinyasas at any point as well. We'll look to the front of the mat now, bend both your knees, step your right and your left foot all the way forward, or you can always walk them forward. Exhale here, we're in forward fold. Inhale, bend your knees and rise all the way up to standing. Lift your fingertips and your gaze up towards the ceiling. Maybe interlace the hands, maybe lift them another inch higher up towards the sky. Exhale here, we forward fold. Hinging from the hips, knees bend, fingertips to the floor, heavy head. Inhale, halfway lift. Elongate, lengthen, squeeze your glutes here and just notice how different that feels. Good. Exhale here, we bend the knees and forward fold. Step left and right foot back to a plank and hold your plank. Fingertips are spread wide. Good. Belly button is drawn in towards the spine. Gaze is just beyond the tip of our fingers. And most importantly, we are still breathing. In and out by nose for 2 more breaths. Last one here. Knees lower, toes untuck. Exhale, lower yourself down to the floor with control, half chaturanga. Inhale, find your cobra. Peel the chest off the floor. And exhale, find child's pose. You can always skip the child's pose and come straight away back into downward facing dog. But for me personally, it's a way of neutralising the spine. It's a very subtle forward bend. So it helps to realign the spine before we straighten it in our downward facing dog. Looking to the front of the mat now, step, walk all the way towards the front. Exhale here, we bend forward fold. Inhale, this time halfway lift. Elongate your spine, straighten your legs, except not completely. Hands come onto the shins. Exhale here, we forward fold. Now, bend your knees a lot, so much so that they're almost in line with your hips to begin. Inhale, lift yourself up to chair pose. Good. One straight line all the way from fingertips to your tailbone, unless you take your hands in front of your chest, which is absolutely fine here. Take a moment to exhale and sit a touch deeper into the hips. Good. You're here for 2 more breaths. Last one here. Exhale here, we'll forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, we'll forward fold. Step back to a plank. Now you can either stick with half chaturanga, which we have been doing, where you lower the knees to the floor. If you want to upgrade though to full chaturanga, rock the body weight forward and keep the knees off the floor as you bend your elbows down to halfway. Keep your thighs off the floor as you turn onto the tops of your feet. Send your chest forward, press through your hands, and you can either lower down to your knees and come back to child's pose, or you can transition straight away to downward facing dog. Choice is yours. Take a moment in your child's pose or downward facing dog, whichever you find yourself in, to check in with your breathing. Are you still breathing in and out by nose? Good. And then we'll look to the front of the mat, stepping, walking or hopping all the way towards the front. Exhale, we'll take a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, hips come as low as your knees, that's the word. Inhale, lift yourself all the way up to chair pose. Now for this variation here, I'd like you to bring your hands in front of your chest. And we start to activate our glutes here. So next inhale, I'd like you to rise up high onto the tips of your toes, at least an inch off the floor if possible. I'd like you to already start feeling a little quiver, a little shake. And if you're not, come up that touch higher onto the toes. Can we now start to sit the hips a little bit deeper? Good. Now imagine your glutes squeezing together here, wrapping them in towards one another to start to activate the side of your glute medius. Good. Lower your heels down on an inhale, and then exhale, hover the heels back onto the floor again. Exhale, we lower. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, lower. I think I just mixed up the breathing there, but we'll go with this. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, lower. And inhale, let's keep them high now. Good. Can we then, maybe having to step the feet a little bit closer together, bring them into a small V shape. So your heels are touching, toes are pointing out to the side, small V. Good. Think about sitting now a little bit deeper. Both your knees are bent. Hopefully you should be feeling a little bit more engagement in your glutes. If not, can you start to squeeze them together a little bit more? Good. We raise and lower the heels again. Let's go with what we were going with last time. Exhale, lower the heels down. Inhale, heels off the floor. Keep them connected all the way. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. One more just like that. Now take your heels off the floor to their highest point. Start pressing your heels together here for 3. Good. For 2. Last one here. Release your heels down to the ground and heel toe your feet out so they come in line with your hips. Good. And exhale here, we'll then take a forward fold. I will stay in the forward fold for a little bit here. So bend your knees, let your stomach come that bit closer to your thighs, and if possible, come onto your fingertips. Just gently straighten one leg, and then bend the other leg and straighten the opposite. So we just start to walk out our hips one by one. Not as much movement as when we're doing this in downward facing dog, because our back body is stretched a bit more. That's absolutely fine. We're just looking for a little bit of movement here to release. Bend your knees, hips come as low as your heels. Not your heels, that would be very low. As low as your knees. Inhale, let's rise. Chair pose once again. Hands come immediately again in front of the chest. We're going to start to come into our sequence now. Inhale, take a lengthening of your spine. Exhale, bring your left elbow all the way over towards your right knee here into a nice deep twist. Can you keep your hands roughly in front of your chest here into the centre as we sit a little bit deeper into the hips? You've got lots of options where you are. So you can stay where you are, or you can open out your hands, right hand to the ceiling, left hand to the floor. Or you've got the option, with either one of those hand options I should say, of shifting the weight towards your right foot and hovering it off the floor. Your final option here is to start to extend that left leg back. Do not worry if you wobble out of it. What have you got to lose? All you need to do is come back in. Good. We're here for 2 more breaths. Last one here. Gently release the left foot back down to the floor. Bring your hands back to touch if they were separated. And then come all the way back through centre, chair pose. Hands now come onto the mat. Step your left foot off the floor. Take a big step back, all the way back. And let your hips lower down a little bit as you come into a runner's lunge here. Shift your body weight slightly forward and slightly back. So that we start to just tease open into our hips and hamstrings on the right hand side. Doesn't matter if there's only an inch or so of movement either way. Really depends on your physiology. Good. Now, gently step your left foot in a little bit here. Not too much, but just enough so that the hips start to rise. Squeeze your thighs together and inhale, rise all the way up. High lunge. Good. Sit nice and high, or nice and deep, I should say, into your right knee. Back leg is nice and straight. Good. Exhale, back foot down to the floor. We open out to Warrior 2 on the right hand side. So the right knee is bent a lot. Gaze is over our right fingertips. Shoulders are away from the ears. We're here for 3 more breaths. That right knee is following the line of the right toes for 2. Last one here. Flip your right palm, inhale to reach forward. Send that right hand to the ceiling. Nice deep side stretch on our right hand side in our reverse warrior. And then exhale, come all the way back, Warrior 2, before interlacing your hands behind your back and taking a quarter turn to the left-hand side of the mat here. Your feet are now in parallel with the short edge of the mat. Inhale, interlacing your hands behind your back, send them away from your shoulders. Exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips, releasing your head down towards the ground and taking your hands all the way up and over, away from your lower back. Every new inhale, squeeze your hands together. Lift them up nice and high. Every new exhale, fold them over a little bit more without forcing. Inhale, find length. Exhale, let's open out the shoulders to touch more. Last one here. Good. Relax your hands down to your lower back. Bend your knees so that you can get your hands onto the mat. It can be just fingertips as well. I'd like you to walk your hands all the way over towards your right foot, straightening that left leg and feeling a nice deep stretch into the inner left thigh. If hands don't touch the floor, you can always take your forearm onto the thigh if that works better for you. Good. And then swap over to the other side so that that inner right leg gets straightened. And we're going to do this 2 more times each side. Exhale over to the right. Good. Back through centre. Exhale left. Inhale centre. Exhale right. Perfect. And last one here, over to the left. Good. Walk your hands now all the way back to frame your right foot. You'll need to come up nice and high onto the toes of the left foot. Step back for a plank and take a vinyasa of your choosing, so either moving through half or full chaturanga, or skipping the vinyasa if you prefer. We find our way back to downward facing dog. From here, let's look forward to the front of the mat, step, walk or hop all the way forward. Exhale here, we'll forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale here, we'll forward fold. Knees bend, hips are in line with the knees. Inhale, squeeze and lift up to chair pose here. Hands float immediately in front of the chest. We move over onto the second side. Inhale, find length in your spine. Exhale, this time twist over to your left hand side. Right elbow comes roughly in towards the left knee, and we gaze over our left shoulder. Option to stay here, option to open out the arms. Option with either one of those hands is to hover the right foot off the floor, making sure you're still bending into the left knee. Final option is to think about extending that right leg long, flexing the foot, maybe squeezing the glutes a little bit more to lift it that bit higher. Don't worry if you wobble out like I just did. We're here for 2. Last one here. Come out the way that you came in with control and find yourself all the way back in your chair pose here. Good. Shift the weight now towards your left foot and slowly send the right foot back. Step all the way back with control, finding your runner's lunge here. So you're weighted in your fingertips or your hands as we gently rock the hips a few times forward and a few toes back. Before stepping that right foot in ever so slightly, squeezing between the thighs and inhaling, rising all the way up to a high lunge position here. Left knee is nice and bent so that we feel a deep stretch on the front of the right thigh. We send the hands all the way high to the ceiling. Perfect. Exhale, place that right foot down. Open out the legs a little bit. Feel the hips opening out to the right hand side as we find warrior 2. Left knee follows the line of left toes. Arms are relaxed away from the ears, but the fingertips are still active. Good. We'll flip that left palm, look forward. Inhale, reach forward. Follow your left hand with your gaze as you reverse your warrior, taking your bind if you wish to. It's a half bind, but take it in anyway. It's this one here where we catch the inside of the left hip. Good. Before coming back on an exhale to warrior 2. And taking a quarter turn to the right hand side of the mat here. This time we interlace our hands. Again, take them nice and low, down past your tailbone. Inhale, lift the chest up to the ceiling. Exhale, keep that length in your arms as you fold forward and release the hands all the way over your head without forcing. Next inhale, find length in your spine. Focus this time on looking just beyond the edge of your mat. On your exhale, now take your gaze to the back of the room here. Inhale, find length in the spine. Exhale, see if you can look that little bit further to the back of the room. Last one here. Good. Bend your knees, release your hands to the lower back, and bring the hands flat on the floor, or on fingertips if that works better for you. Bend into your right knee. Just take a nice deep stretch into the inner left thigh, before swapping over to the other side, bending into your left knee, stretch into the inner right thigh. Inhale through centre, before exhaling over to the right. Inhale centre, exhale left, and one more time on each side. Come all the way back over on an exhale to your right hand side. Bend your right knee as much as you need to get your hand on the floor. Inhale, send the left hand high towards the sky. So we should actually be feeling this now more into your right inner thigh, even though your left leg is stretched. If your right thigh does not touch the floor, bring your forearm onto your right thigh. Here for 3. Breathing in and out by nose for 2. Last one here. Gently come all the way back through centre and switch over to the other side. Remember your left forearm can be on your left thigh. This time right hand is reaching up to the ceiling. Breathing in and out by nose. Last one here. Exhale, release your hands to frame the front of the mat, or to frame your foot, left foot at the front of your mat is what I should be saying. Exhale, step back to a plank position. Take any vinyasa of your choosing, knowing that you have all the time in the world, and I will meet you back in your downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in by nose. Sigh all the way out the mouth. Breathing in by nose. Exhale, sigh all the way out by mouth. Inhale, rise up high onto onto the tips of your toes. Exhale, we soften the heels down towards the mat. 2 more times. Inhale by nose, heels lift. Exhale by nose, heels lower. Inhale, heels lift. And exhale, heels lower. Nicely done. Bend your knees now, allow them to come all the way down to the ground as we prepare here for our melting heart pose. So keep your hands exactly where they are and send your hips back so that your arms are slightly extended in front of you. From here, allow your chest to lower down towards the mat, your hands to extend that a little bit further in front of you as you keep your tailbone nice and high towards the sky. Now this will look a little bit different for everyone. Some of us may be having our chest touch the floor. Some of us might be some distance away from the mat. You can even reach your hands out quite actively, or you can feel free to bend at the elbows and create a little bit of, and to hold on to opposite forearms for a bit more support. You can even then rest your head on your crossed arms. But we're trying to allow gravity to do the work here as we allow our chest to really go down towards the mat. So for me, as someone that has a little bit more upper back flexibility than most might, my chin is touching, but it could be that your forehead is touching the mat. And we could take one cheek to the side of the mat as well. And in our melting heart pose, we're going to stay here for a few extra breaths, a little bit longer, as we start to counteract all of that sitting in our less than ideal workstations. So we open out through the chest and the armpits, your lat muscles along the sides of your back, and targeting a huge area that is connected to us breathing well. So I encourage you to keep on breathing in and out by nose, and breathing nice and deep here. And if you did take one side of your head onto the mat, I'd like you to now swap over to the other cheek, so that we keep the neck sort of equal if we are having to take a cheek to the mat. And you might notice that with a particularly big exhale, you notice your chest lower, a bit more significantly down to the mat. But not to get frustrated if you find yourself staying still. But do notice whether the position becomes more comfortable over time, or whether your comfort level changes in any way throughout the posture. You can always back off. You can always go that touch deeper. We have 3 more breaths where we are. Breathing in and out by nose for 2. The last one here. Gently return your head to centre. If you did have it on one side, take your hands underneath your shoulders here and press yourself all the way back up to a kneeling position here. Take a moment here as the head comes back above the heart to just check in with how you feel. Notice whether your shoulders are automatically a bit more pinned back than usual. Is your chest a bit more pronounced? Then we're going to come into a slightly similar stretch in terms of the position, but we're targeting now the insides of the legs. So I want you to walk yourself forward now and come onto your forearms, and you can always take hold of your hands as if you were going to be in a forearm plank here. Take the weight into your right knee and extend your left leg all the way out to the left-hand side here. And I don't know whether it will be caught on camera or not. Let me just move over here so that you don't really see it. But I've got the inside blade of my left foot on the mat. Now you can either keep the sole of your foot there or just come onto the inside blade. But hopefully you should be targeting that real inner thigh here. Again, another area with sitting a bit more than usual, but does get extremely tight. If you want to take it any deeper, you can choose to rock your body weight either forward or back a little bit. Just choose where you find the stretch to be at its juiciest point. And as another option, you can start to hinge your forward or seesaw your body forward and back, as long as you're doing so nice and slowly and mindfully. rushing this here, and a nice pace to go at is in time with your breath. So you might exhale to sit back a little bit deeper, and inhale to just press your hips that bit more forward. And if you are taking this gentle movement, it just helps once again to very gently tease the muscles into a slightly more open position, helping them to become unstuck from one another. Because it's not necessarily the individual muscles that are tight, but it's more often than not the fact that muscles get stuck onto one another, and that's where the tightness is that they can't glide over one another correctly. Whatever option you're taking, you've got about 5 more breaths, so just enjoy where you are, or feel free to continue moving. We'll make this next one here our last one here. So you'll just need to step your left knee in to meet your right, and you'll be coming into this kind of, almost like a start of a forearm plank, except your hips are much higher. I'm going to swap around the other way, just so that you can see my demonstration, as you extend the right leg nice and long out to the side, and we start to feel that stretch into the inner right thigh here. You can start to move, maybe exhaling and sending the hips back, inhaling to gently lift the hips forward. Whichever option you're taking, whether you're deciding to move or whether you're deciding to embrace the stillness, I want you to just notice whether there's any differences on one side of your leg to the other. Perhaps if you don't feel it as much on this side, you play about with either taking the inside blade of your right foot on the mat, or try with the whole sole of the foot on the floor. You've actually got a final option as well. You can always just have your heel onto the floor, but that for some people can put strain behind the knee. So you can always try it, and if it's not right for you, come back to one of the other options. Good. A couple more breaths where we are, regardless of whether that's moving or embracing stillness. Great, last one here. Let's very gently bring ourselves back to that position with the knees underneath the hips. And then I'd like you to come and lie all the way down onto your belly, lying on your front. And just take a moment here to make a pillow with both of your hands stacked one on top of the other. And just allow yourself here to take a moment here in a prone position. Maybe choose to take a deep breath in by nose before letting it out by mouth. And using that as a bit of a way of resetting your breath. We're going to take another back bend just before we come into our final posture, which will be a forward bend. So on your next inhale, I'd like you to come up onto your forearms here as we come into Sphinx. So this is a nice gentle back bend for us, which works all the way from the hips, all the way to across the collarbones here. So it works the whole front of the spine. We want to make sure that we're not passively hanging out in this posture. So lots of people will collapse. Your shoulders will be quite near to your ears. I want you to think about elongating that space between your ears and your shoulders. Think about drawing your shoulders further down as well, so that your shoulder blades are almost kind of winging in together, like that small V shape we made of our foot. I want you to imagine that shape of your scapulars, your shoulder blades. And if you do want to make this deeper at any point, you can feel free to bend one knee in, bring the foot in as close to your glute as possible, before swapping over to the other foot. And you might notice it's slightly closer towards the front of your hips. You can of course do this with both of your legs at the same time, making sure to continuously push up through your hands, your forearms, to deepen that back bend. And the front of the chest can feel a little bit tighter when we're doing this, so it can often feel a little bit less comfortable to breathe. So I want you to think about breathing more in towards the sides and back of your body if you feel any constriction here at any point in your breath. You can contract your muscles around your rib cage to breathe out to the side, backwards and forwards. It's about just learning that mind-body connection. So maybe see if you can focus on expanding your rib cage out to the side or out to the back. You've got your last few moments in this posture, so very gently decide what you want to do. Decide what you want to do, then very gently release yourself all the way down onto the mat. Again, create that pillow with your hands for your forehead. And you can gently shake the hips from side to side here. Or if you want slightly something different, you can bend your knees, bring them close in towards your glutes, and then move both feet at the same time from left to right via centre. Good. So the final stretch that we're going to do today is going to be a forward bend. They're nice calming postures. So I want you to take your hands underneath your hips, or underneath your shoulders. And then from here, bring yourself into a seated position. So sit yourself as upright as possible to begin. So most of us will naturally have quite a bit of a slump in our body. You want to make sure you're upright on your pelvis. So walk your hips back one by one by one by one. Good. Until you feel as though you're almost folding forward. Then sit as upright as possible and you'll be nice and upright. You can keep your legs close to touching or separate them a little bit wider than your hips. If you would like to, another option as well is to take your legs even wider still. It will target your back slightly differently, but just choose one that works for you. Good. Take a nice big inhale here, lengthen up through your spine, and on your exhale, I'd like you to just think about folding forward and allowing your head to curve. So let the chin come all the way in, close towards the chest, without forcing. Turn the palms face up so that you're not tempted to hold on or to yank yourself down towards the ground. Let the feet flop out to the side. And we'll start to change our breath here. So next deep breath in by nose. Will be accompanied by a big sigh out the mouth. Big breath in by nose. Let's sigh out the mouth. You might choose to either stay in the centre or maybe sway your torso gently from side to side in this posture. As we start to stretch that fascia all the way across the back of the body, our lumbar thoracic belt that does help to keep us in place, but also unfortunately adapts to positions that we are in regularly. So the best way to, which I think people know, to basically encourage the best posture is to move in a variety of ways, to not do the same exercises all the time, so that you're never kind of building strength in one area and neglecting the other. Feel free to take any more sighs out the mouth, as you wish. Otherwise, continue now to just breathe as you would normally. So whether that's in by nose and out by nose, or in by nose and out by mouth. The last few breaths where we are. Before very gently using your hands, guiding yourself into that more upright position. Roll your shoulders all the way back and down as you bring your feet together. Let's scooch ourselves all the way forward to the front of the mat. Roll ourselves down to the ground. And bring your knees into your chest once you find your back connected to the mat. Slightly tuck your chin, keeping the head on the floor. And maybe just rock from side to side so that we can massage out the spine here. Before releasing the soles of the feet down to the ground, leave staying here and knocking the knees lightly into one another as we just did a lot of work on our back. Or you can extend your legs completely long, wider than the mat, and your hands can rest either on your belly or by your side. The choice is yours. I want you to find a position that you will be comfortable in for 2 to 3 minutes. So move your shoulders away from your ears, allow your eyes to close, and allow all of that tension to melt away from your face. Take a deep inhale in by nose. Let it go out by mouth. Before allowing yourself your time in your Shavasana. Take a deep breath in by nose. And let it go all the way out by mouth. In by nose. Out by mouth. And on your next inhale, extend your legs long and reach your arms all the way up and overhead. Bring your legs together if they were separated, and lengthen your hands away and point your toes and take a full body stretch down the centre of your mat. Walk your hands all the way over to the right hand side. Walk your legs over to the right hand side and maybe cross your left leg over your right to create this banana-like shape of your body, feeling that deep stretching sensation on the left hand side. Before taking an exhale and walking your hands, your legs all the way back through centre before taking them over to the left. This time you might cross your right ankle just over your left to deepen the stretch. And actively reach hands and feet over to the left hand side. Before coming back through centre and drawing your knees a little bit wider than your chest, take a rock from side to side so that you massage out the backs of the hips. And enjoy rolling all the way over onto one side, back through centre, all the way over to the other. And then gently find your way over onto whatever side feels good for you, the one that feels most comfortable. And just stay in a little fetal position for a breath or two, knowing that there is no rush to get up now. And then gently guide yourself into an upright seated position. Ideally still keeping your eyes closed, sitting up nice and tall, and relaxing the shoulders all the way away from your ears. I want you to take a final few moments just here to notice how you feel in comparison to when you stepped onto your mat.
and to be very thankful and grateful for your health, allowing you to practice today, your well-being, for being in the right headspace to be able to practice today. These are not things that we should take for granted and that we should be ever so grateful for. Let's take a final deep breath in and let it go all the way out my mouth. For opening out the eyes, when you're ready, coming back into the room. Thank you so much everyone at Osborne Clarke. From me, my name's Leanne. I hope that you enjoyed this. It's not really yin yang, it's yang yin, but anyway, in yoga you tend to refer to these kind of sequences as yin yang. So we took it from that more strength building, warming postures into some nice cooling, relaxing postures at the end. Hopefully your back and your inner hips should feel nice and free, a little bit looser. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I look forward to practicing with you in the next fortnight. See you all very soon.